Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. Now, this episode comes out at a very interesting time period, and we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about that, because, I would spend more. I would probably have chosen to dedicate an entire episode to the conflict in and of itself. And I'm just now realizing that I probably should have done that instead of doing this. But it is what it is. I'm just, it's way too late for me to do that now. Because then I have to fully, look into all this topic. And it would be better for me to, if I wanted to dedicate an entire episode to this topic, I would have to do a lot more research prior. But let's just get right into the news. Okay, first, we're going to start in other countries that are not the ones in the news. First, Mexico's president says it rejects U.S.-funded migrant transit centers. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said he would prefer to have such centers in countries that are the sources of migration. So basically, as part of this recent thing where Biden is tightening up immigration in the wake of the upcoming election, they are trying to get the Mexican president to have migrant transit centers be built in Mexico. And AMLO saying he doesn't want to do that. He says that other countries should be the ones to do it because in Mexico, they actually blame other countries for the migrant crisis. Because this is thing, he actually even says he plans to bring it up when he goes to a meeting with a bunch of leaders from other Latin American countries like Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, El Salvador, Honduras, Guatemala, Haiti, Cuba, Costa Rica, Panama, and Belize. And that is the truth. Mexico puts a lot of the blame for the migrant crisis on neighboring countries. Basically, it's sort of like what we do to Mexico, where they demonize these countries. These are the ones that are causing the problems. Because, there's just a degree of colorism within Latin American communities. For those who don't know what colorism is where people of a particular race or ethnic group sort of see themselves as better or worse because they are lighter skinned or darker skinned. It's very prominent within the African American community where African Americans who are lighter skinned think of themselves as higher than African Americans who are darker skinned. But it's also prominent in, say, the so-called Latin American community. But anyways, there's not much else for me to say on this topic, but this was one that I thought was a little interesting. Next one is a European country, Slovakia. I'm only covering this because I actually at one point intended to cover the Slovakian election because things are getting interesting. So, what has happened, first, let's just briefly look over this election. So, there was an election. The previous results of the election were this. And basically, the country's politics are defined as this. So, there's the broad, right-wing parties. Then there's Smer, which is a left-wing populist party. There's the We Are Family Party, a national conservative party. There's Hlas, a social democratic party. A neo-Nazi party. Okay, I didn't know about that. But yeah, apparently a literal neo-Nazi party. The Republic, a neo-fascist party. For the People, Change from Below, Life, PS, and Democrats. So these are the parties that were gearing up for this upcoming election. So what ended up happening is that the parties that were considered the ones to really, the main discourse was sort of revolving around these three parties, Smer, Progressive Slovakia, and Hlas. Smer was basically the prime left-wing party, the left-wing nationalist, left-wing populist party. So at first glance you might think, good, but there's some problems. It was an extremely socially conservative party, and it is Russophilic, basically meaning they are very close to Russia. And they're basically going to govern themselves as a lot like Russia. What ended up happening was Hlas was basically members of Smer who were not satisfied, who didn't like the pro-Russian talking points. Or at least that's what allegedly they were. So And their main target, like their main opposition, was Progressive Slovakia, which is a centrist, like liberal party. And these three were considered the big candidates to run against each other. Basically, like it was basically these three, and everyone else was just there. So what ended up happening is the parties that ended up winning were Smer, Progressive Slovakia, they were relatively close, followed by Hlas, Olano, Christian Democratic Movement, Freedom and Solidarity, and the Slovak Party. On the bright side, the neo-Nazi parties did not do so hot, but one problem is that this party is basically bordering on that, and are the ultra-nationalist, national conservative, social conservative Russia-Philo party. Now that election isn't the big news. The big news is the coalition, because it is announced that Smer, Hlas, and the SNS, that party that I just showed, have ratified a coalition agreement which gives them just enough seats to hold a majority. So, because of this, it has led to the Party of European Socialists to suspend Smer and Hlas due to this. This is just so weird, because, I guess it's just truly because of the social conservatism. I didn't even think that Hlas was socially conservative. I was thinking that these guys would actually be more based than Smer. But, especially considering Smer and Fico literally ran ads that were basically saying, was it the leader of the party? Let me check. Is the leader gay? I think he's gay. Yeah, there he is. He's gay. So they basically got a guy who, looked like the party leader, and then pretended that he was transgender, because, LGBTQ, because they were, super socially conservative. And, yeah, so apparently Russia's getting a new puppet state, I guess. Alright, so I guess we could finally talk about the bigger thing that's been going on. The Israel-Hamas war. So, for those who don't know, which I would assume very little of you. Okay, so the Al-Aqsa flood. Basically, the TLDR, because this is pretty obvious, Hamas, being a terrorist group, they did what they did, and they murdered a bunch of people in Israel. And due to that, Israel's retaliating and is doing a lot of big things. And a lot of people have been getting pretty mad. And it's getting to the point where Israel has told that the United Nations needs to evacuate the northern Gaza Strip within 24 hours. And this was a statement that they released the 12th. So it is more than 24 hours since they announced that decision. And it is very controversial because they had decided to cut off the power and internet in Gaza. And so Israel released an evacuation order the day after they cut off power and internet to Gaza, meaning that a lot of the people won't get that warning. And even if they did get the warning, they're asking a population of 1.1 million people to leave this part of the Gaza Strip and then go to this part. And Gaza is not that big. Basically, this area is the entirety of Washington, D.C., for comparison. They're asking people who live in this area to move to this area. Because Gaza has, 2 million people, if I remember correctly. And it's 1 million lives here. And they're asking the people in this city to move down here. And this is even more tragic. I don't know if I have the video in the likes, or I probably retweeted it. Maybe I didn't even retweet it. But there was a video that had... Let me see. Is it there? No, that's not it. Dang it. But anyways, there was a video where Israel, where it was people who were the people who actually did manage to evacuate the situation, they were literally being bombed as they were evacuating, let me see. It's not there, but the term ethnic cleansing was trending on Twitter for a little bit because that's essentially what is going on right now. The far right in Israel is basically pushing to finally finish the job, quote unquote. A lot of things have been going on for this most recent stuff. Like they've stated it point blank.
מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
They are literally, and it's worse, is that apparently the media is trying to go ahead and push this narrative. Because, one of the big things that's been going on is that they've been saying Hamas is doing all this bad things, like beheading babies, or that Shani Luke is dead. It turns out neither of these stories were proven true. In fact, they're proven false. And the reason, it's because it's just, this is honestly just so depressing to see. And what's worse is, we're seeing, people in the West just go along with it. Take this.
My dick!
What do you think the response should be from Netanyahu and the military to Gaza?
Kill all Palestinians! All of them! Not one left from the river to the sea. Palestine will be deceased! And Israel need to do like this. You see? Now Gaza. Like this. Gaza need to do like this. Or like this, but all this Jewish. Two options.
What do you think the response should be to Gaza?
We gotta wipe them off the fucking map. I'm
That's-
talking about every fucking flatten them like a parking lot.
Yeah, wait.
Flatten them out once and
There's
for all. Get rid of that.
nothing else you can do. They proved to us there's nothing else you Palestine.
It's just so tragic. And everybody's been going apeshit over all of the things that the left has been saying in regard to this. One of the big things, DSA and all these other people have been spreading pro-Palestinian messages and stuff. Some of them have been cringe, granted. This one from BLM Chicago, where they say, I stand with Palestine, and they have this. You see, I actually didn't know why this was offensive originally. Then it was after I saw this, then I realized, oh wait, this is what it is. Where it says that Hamas terrorists, I knew that they killed terrorists, I knew that the terrorists came to Israel and on paragliders and shot people. The problem was, I didn't know this was a paraglider. I thought this was a parachute. I didn't know a paraglider was this. To my recollection, a paraglider was like a hang glider. That's what I was thinking of when I heard paraglider. So I was being stupid. But even then, for some reason, it was Israel understands that their government is the one that's causing this disaster. But in America, and primarily in the West, we don't understand that, and we're just going along with this. I showed you this. Another thing that's been getting pretty controversial is Tara Strong, the famous voice actor Tara Strong, has been making some very controversial statements and has been liking stuff that says Hamas equals ISIS, Taliban equals Islam. A like from Tara Strong, Hamas equals ISIS, Taliban equals Islam. Islam is a real and clear present danger. Islamophobia has been debunked vehemently. And now people are pointing out she's been doing some crazy cringe stuff her whole entire time period of being prominent. But this is where people are finally realizing this is bad. Oh, here it is. Ethnic cleansing is trending again. See, and it's even got to the point where a pilot that she was going to be involved in, Boxtown, has got fired. Oh, here it is. The Boxtown team is a diverse team of all stripes. Miss Strong was fully paid for her work, and as we're only funded for one episode, she's missing out on new future work. It is very disappointing that some people continue to spread misinformation and hatred. We do not stand for hatred in any forms. And then they point out, people are trying to say, anti-Semitism, but it's one of the other main characters is Jewish, and the pilot writer is Jewish. Like one Jewish person got fired because she said very Islamophobic things, or she liked Islamophobic things. Like, it's very stupid that people are doing. I'm going all over the place on this topic because it's like, it is just so abundantly clear what is going on, and yet people are still being completely stupid on this subject. Here's one thing where people are going around spreading this.
Palestinians broke through the fence. They put the F-35s on
Like, oh, look at the left. Look at what the left is doing. It's like, this guy is a nobody from a party that has 300 people in it. This guy's a literal nobody, and yet they're going to be like, this guy's a representative of the left. DSA, how dare they? And it's even, like, and this is another one. This is another incident that happened. Shadi Thanadar fully announced that he rescinded his, membership of DSA. Like, it was very stupid. Like, he's like, I'm leaving DSA. And literally everybody's been pointing out, like, your DSA chapter expelled you last month. So, much like his entry into DSA, his exit is fully for clout. The bigger story was coming from the fact that apparently Jamal Bowman is actually no longer a member of DSA, allowing his membership to lapse last year, presumably due to the conflict that was arising due to his situation. But this is really just, look at this.
مقبرة جماعية المولدات في مجمع شفاء طبي تكاد تكفي إلى 3 إلى 4 أيام على أكبر تقدير.
Gaza's medical facilities are in crisis after Israel blocked electricity, food, and fuel from reaching the territory.
أغلب الحالات في الحضانة البروتوكولات العلاجية تعتمد على التيار الكهربائي.
And this is the thing. They don't have electricity anymore. Their electricity is done, and their last fuel cell in the country is done. Literally, they do not have power. This infant that is in the incubator is more than likely going to die. But no. It was only when the Israeli babies were getting hurt that was the problem. Hold on, let me see. Let me play this one.
I don't like and I don't respect.
Here's a Hassan clip. I'll use this as a Hassan W.
You've subjugated them. You have humiliated them.
This is a rare, I don't really like Hassan, but this clip basically exemplifies it. And I'll play another one that is better exclusively for this particular topic.
You have entrapped them. You have bullied them. You have subjugated them. You have humiliated these fucking people. 2 million people live inside of Gaza. They're not even fucking people in the eyes of Israelis. 2 million. The average age is 18 years old. 57% unemployment. They can't even get fucking concrete inside of Gaza so they can build fucking water salination plants because 97% of their water is toxic. They're dying of mass starvation. You cannot push people into a fucking corner their whole lives and not expect them to fight back at a certain point. Suck my dick. You fucking piece of shit. You and others like you who turn a blind eye to apartheid, genocide, and ethnic cleansing are the reasons as to why these people fucking fight back.
Now, even though I don't have to do this, I'll make this abundantly clear because I know a lot of people are probably going to see this and be like, but yeah, look, I am not in favor of Hamas. None of these values represent me. Okay. No, I'm trying to... None of these values represent me. None of those represent me at all. I assumed that it would be pretty obvious that I do not align with them. But apparently, you gotta make that abundantly clear. And again, this isn't something just from the West. Israelis understand this. Take this. This is the leader of one of the primary parties in the Knesset of Israel. This isn't related to this particular topic. This is related to a different topic.
מעוור, הכוח מעוור. אתם מתנהגים לא רק כפושעים, אלא גם כטיפשים.
אני מבקש לשמור על שקט.
וזה חוק הטבע. לכל פעולה יש תגובה.
טלי, אני מסתדר, טלי, שנייה.
לכיבוש יש תגובה. וזה ההתנגדות.
אני מבקש...
ההתנגדות לכיבוש היא לגיטימית. והכיבוש לא לגיטימית. יחי מחנה הפליטים שלי, יחי העם הפלסטיני, יחי המאבק הצודק שלו.
אני מבקש לרדת, סיימנו דברים.
שיוריד אותי, אבל העם הפלסטיני ימשיך להיאבק. תוריד אותי, אבל העם הפלסטיני ימשיך.
תחזור למקום.
הרוגים בשנין,
Absolutely based. He is 100% correct. Literally. Hadash, only party in Israel that is even remotely good. It is the only remotely good party in Israel. Because they are the only party in Israel. Okay, we'll scratch that. Apparently, like, they have Tal, but it's like Hadash Tal, whatever. They are the only party that actually understands the situation. Like, Labor Party ain't gonna do shit. The Labor Party helped cause this issue. The issue, like, this is one thing. A lot of people are trying to pretend that they have some sort of superiority on the issue. That they know something. Like, that they think that they know shit about this issue. But they don't. These guys don't know jack shit. Like, here's an example. This person's been going around like, but Israel... It's like, Israel is literally planning an ethnic cleansing under the guise of stopping Hamas. Israel shuts off electricity in Gaza. Gaza's only remaining independent power supply, lost on the 11th, which is putting the many injured in the hospitals in a compromising position where they have to wait for their life support to get cut or wait for the buildings to be bombed. Internet outages have been going on during the conflict. On the 12th, they send a message to evacuate Gaza in 28 hours. They're finally waiting to finish the job. Bibi was waiting for this excuse for years. Literally. He's been waiting for this excuse for years, and this situation did not start with Netanyahu. This situation didn't start with Netanyahu. This situation didn't start with the creation of Hamas. The situation started when Israel was founded, because these guys participate in the issues just as much as, like, these guys have participated in the issue just as much as Likud has. These guys have participated just as much as Likud. They just act nicer about it. Like, and this guy does this because he did the same thing when you point out objective facts. I don't think it's an ethnic cleansing. I'll just go over, like, bit by bit. I don't think this is an ethnic cleansing. 1.1 million without electricity and communication with the outside world are being asked to move to an area that is literally the size of Washington, D.C. in 24 hours, or else face an impending ground invasion. The hundreds, if not thousands, in the hospital are literally just waiting to die because they don't have the power to keep the equipment running and have no access to medical supplies. Their food and water supplies have been cut. Many don't even have a way to go south. And those who are managing to go south are being targeted by fucking air raids. I mean, this combined with literally everything else Israel has done to Palestinians, steal their land, steal their ethnicity, consistently dehumanize and murder them, it looks pretty blatant to me. Politicians in fucking Israel acknowledge this tenfold. I don't know how you can walk away not thinking this. Like, and they go stupid. But blame is shared on this. No, it's not. Unless you're saying the blame is shared by Israel and their Western allies, there is no share. At least 60% of this situation could have been avoided if Israel had done anything different up to this point. Like, look, literally. Let me see. 1948. I don't know. I'll just. Wait, I could just do it here. 1948. Is it 1948? No. 1948 partition. Like, watch. This could have been avoided simply if Israel just took this and then left it be. Then a lot of the situation could be avoided. If Israel literally just said, we'll just take this, we'll not do expansions, we're not going to do any of that stuff. We're just going to stay in this area. Granted, this partition plan is fucking stupid. They should have divided it in any other way possible. But the only reason, like, this was the, like, closest thing to any fairness to the Palestinians, because they understood that one would be giving them Jerusalem, and the other one would be giving them trade. So they had to give, so it's like, this is the only thing that could sweeten the deal to the Palestinians. And I understand the Palestinians said no to this, so it's like, it doesn't matter. Palestinians said no, it should have been the end of it. Their land, their rules. But let's just say, hypothetically, Israel, like, did what they did again, and just, like, we're just gonna, like, go here anyways, even though we were not allowed to do this partition. Like, let's just say they stayed here, and there was no expansion or no whatevers. This situation would be avoided. Like, people like Hamas wouldn't have the power that they have, because, like, and, like, literally, Hamas only has the power that they have now because of what people are doing now. And Breton says, I take issue with cleansing. Cleansing it denotes that they're only doing this because they're Arab. It's like, Palestinian. They're doing it because they are Palestinian. This is part of the problem. This is literally part of the problem. Like, at this point, people don't even call them Palestinian. They call them Arab. They're just Arab. But no, they're not doing it because they're Arab. They're doing it because they're Palestinian. And this is what Israel wants. Israel doesn't want people to call, like Ayman Odeh, the guy that I just showed you. Like, technically, in a way, he would be considered Palestinian Israeli. But no, they don't want to call him that. He's Arabic Israeli. It doesn't matter, because they want to get rid of that country name. I believe the primary motivation of the state is safety from terrorist attacks. That makes sense in a vacuum. Like, that's the thing every single one of the pro-Israel side people have to understand. They have to put everything that is going on in the situation in a vacuum, where it's like, oh, this is specifically because of Hamas. It's like, it's specifically because of this. It's like, if you believe this whole situation started a week ago, that's one thing. This situation started 75 years ago, when the Israeli government has done many of the same stuff they're doing right now. Stealing people's homes, killing children and journalists, the Nakba. This is simply an excuse to kill Palestinians and take their land, which has been their sole purpose since foundation. But if we're going to go purely on what the leader says is the motivation, then I guess you agree with Putin invading Ukraine, huh? He says that he wants to denazify Ukraine, and NATO expansion is pretty scary for him. Or do you understand that those are scapegoats that he is using to push his political interests? Why is this any different than Netanyahu, whose whole career up to this point has been pushing against Palestine and pro-Israel expansion? And it's the same thing. Like, I wanted to use different examples, but I understand, like some of these examples would be way too easy. For example, Bush. Like, I could have used Bush. Like, oh, Bush wanted to go into Afghanistan to take out Osama bin Laden. Like, I guess we had to believe him 100%. But the one that I really wanted to use was Hitler. Because, like, Hitler gave justifications for killing the Jews. So, it's like, I guess we have to take him for every word. He believed that Jewish people were the reason why the Weimar Republic fell, or why they failed in World War I. I guess we have to take his word for it, because he said it. And it's the same thing with Netanyahu. Just because he says it doesn't mean he actually believes it. Same thing with Putin. Like, I don't buy the shit they're saying. And then he also, and they also have to do the same thing where he's like, oh, 4,000 years ago, Jewish people, they had this place colonized. It's like, I don't give a fuck about that. That has absolutely nothing to do with the situation at hand. And then you go, but you're going 75 years ago. No, because that literally ties into the situation that is going on today. What happened 75 years ago is still going on to this day. We still have this. Israel still does this right now. If I'm lucky, I'll be able to find some footage on the For You tab of what they're doing right now. No, I don't want this garbage. Okay, Jerusalem Post.
Some reporting out there.
Can't show that because I might get copyright strike. But whatever, it's like, this situation ties directly to the situation that is going on right now. is with the situation that keeps going on and on that I'm legitimately at this point just pro this. Like, at this point, this would have been the best solution. The Slattery Report. Okay, so Harold Eakes, who was the Secretary of Housing, who was part of the Department of Interior, said that basically, after Jews fled from Nazi Germany, he wanted to move, like, European refugees to Alaska. Now, I know that this was supposed to be like a temporary solution. It wasn't actually supposed to be like the permanent solution. But honestly, this would have been the best solution for Israel. Because, look, let's just look at it objectively. Like, let's just look at this objectively. The Palestinians didn't want their land colonized. Israel considers itself part of the West, so we can just put it right at the West. The land is bigger than Israel. And we already did the colonizing for them, so they don't have to colonize any more people. Literally, and since Alaska is so removed from the United States, we don't have to pretend that they are part of the same country. Literally, if Israel just moved to Alaska, everything would have been better. Objectively. Now, I know what you may be saying. Like, I know a lot of you might actually think, like, go in the comments and be like, oh, actually, it wouldn't have... Look, no, I'm just being hypothetical. Anything that would have prevented this massacre of Palestinians that's about to happen would be better. And as I showed with Tara Strong, it seems that Islamophobia is back on the rise because apparently a leading Democrat, Joshua Gothmeier, moderate Democrat, a Jewish Democrat, Israel hawk, because what happened is there was a bunch of, like, due to this event, there's been a lot of people praying and whatever, and there was one representative named Susan Wild who was saying that she attended a vigil. And she was noting how there were not a lot of Muslims attending the vigil because they were feeling like they were being othered by the situation. And what ended up happening is that Joshua Gothmeier reportedly either said the reason why they shouldn't attend is because they're all guilty or because they should feel guilty. And a lot of Democrats were mad. Like, apparently, like, one Democratic lawmaker reportedly shouted Joshua, and Greg Casar, a first-term progressive lawmaker, walked up to confront Gothmeier, and he was saying that that was a shit thing to say, and Tlaib Omar AOC walked out. Now, this gives me, like, some hope, because it's just like, I know a lot of people are not necessarily a fan of Greg Casar because Greg Casar is pro-Israel and he's like a Zionist Democrat. A lot of people are like saying like that's cringe and bad and whatever, but it's like, look, I would rather have a Zionist Democrat that actually gives a shit about Palestinians. That is literally better than nothing. Anyways, I've rambled about it long enough. But I guess I will say, free Palestine, and yeah, Palestine is objectively in the right in this situation. Anyways, next story, drama with the U.S. House of Representatives. So, after they kicked McCarthy out, Steve Scalise, a guy who described himself as David Duke without the baggage, decided that he was going to run for Speaker. And now he has ended his bid for Speaker because a lot of Republicans have refused to back him, particularly some people who were fans of his opponent, Jim Jordan, and some people who were super pro-Kevin McCarthy. Okay, so what happened next? Well, Jim Jordan got nominated, but there's not going to be a vote yet because they don't have the votes to win. Not much else to say. One thing people have been saying is that Jim Jordan, as the House Speaker, would give Democrats an immediate advantage in the upcoming elections, which is fair. Speaking of people dropping out and whatever, Will Hurd has decided to drop out of the presidential race and back Nikki Haley. Now, the only reason I'm covering this story is because it is actually me being proven wrong. You see, I actually thought that Will Hurd would be one of the few Republicans to remain in the race. I actually thought that Will Hurd would remain in the race. Oh, Corey Stapleton dropped out too? But anyways, I thought that he would stay in the race up till the end. I didn't really see it. Well, it was like a mixed bag. It was like he could be in or he could leave. Like, I didn't really know or care which one was which. But I guess he decided to drop out and endorse Nikki Haley. Not much else to say, so let's finally move on to the main topic of this video. I saw this around on Twitter a little bit, so we're going to be taking this, the Politicalc quiz. A new type of political quiz. Go beyond left and right, take this 10-minute test to delve into your political personality. So I expect this to be done by 12:55. Beyond left and right. Our 12-axis test measures your political attitudes deeply to analyze how you process political concepts and information, gain insight into your psychology, and how it shapes your political opinions. Get a detailed breakdown. Complete the test to receive the detailed breakdown of your political attitudes. Share it with your friends to see how you compare. So these are the political attitudes that they are going to test. Society and individuals. What's a balanced interplay between society, individuals, and community and tradition? Ownership and equality. What's the right way to allocate resources and wealth in the economy? Rules and outcomes. What roles do ideology and individual leaders have in driving progress, institution, and rules? Political psychology. Can we trust what we see in politics? How do we relate to mainstream political opinion? Change and consensus. What's the best way to drive political change? Do we need to work through the system or drive revolutionary change? International relations. What should our relationship with our countries and cultures? With other countries and cultures, what's the role of military force versus diplomacy? If we're measuring it like this, I would have to say, if I had to take a guess, it would be society, equality, rules, consensus, and I guess whatever would be ranking. Let's just get into it. All right, so for each statement, it's one of these. You gotta, for each statement, agree, disagree, and we got, like, leans. All right. Anyone who says that women and men have equal opportunity today must be blind. I would say broadly agree. Government cover-ups are a lot more common than we believe. I would say lean this way because it is more common than we think, but I don't believe it. Because I think this is like a slightly conspiratorial question. Pirating stuff online really shouldn't be considered stealing. Yeah, 100%. Like, you don't take away someone's ability to watch the movie regardless. You should vote for the candidate or party that you support even if you have no chance of winning. I would say slight agree here. Nothing good can ever come out of greed. We should maintain a nuclear deterrent. So nuclear deterrence, like, this would be us maintaining nuclear, like, war and weapons, right? I would say disagree. Ideological differences are the most common source of disagreement between politicians. Neutral, because I honestly don't know if that's the case for at least our politicians. A country should always be self-sufficient when it comes to crucial supplies and resources. Agree. Our country should be active and influential in the international community. Depends on what you mean by that. Any weakness can overcome with enough willpower and determination. A little bit, yeah. I must admit that I am moved when I hear my country's national anthem. No. The government isn't doing enough to help people in poor parts of the world. Agree. Most of actual policy is decided in backroom deals. Yeah. I often post about political matters on social media. Yes. Politicians from both sides tend to be the same. That depends what you mean by both sides. The best countries are the ones that put the interests of themselves, of individuals, above everybody else. No. Broadly speaking, mainstream political opinion tends to be correct. No. The areas where we should have power to... There are areas where we should hand power to independent experts. Neutral. We need fewer administrators and more revolutionaries. A little bit agree, yes. Our country comes first. Yeah, broadly. A new leader shouldn't immediately overturn what his or her predecessor has achieved. Neutral. Depends on what the previous leader has achieved. In general, CEOs of major companies must be more talented than the average person. No. Checks and balances are the most important part of a political system. Yeah. The way our politics works is fundamentally wrong in many ways. I'll at least say this. The media does a fine job of holding politicians to account. Neutral. Depends on the politician. Your success in life is mostly determined by the arbitrary circumstances of your birth. Yeah, broadly. I'd rather have kids watch sex on TV than violence. I understand the question that they're kind of getting at, because the whole point is this is supposed to be sort of the idea of are you more prudish about sex or are you more concerned about violence on TV? I would have to put, I guess, slightly disagree. Democracy isn't necessarily suitable for all societies. Disagree. If a corrupt leader is pushing for an agenda I believe in, I might be willing to look past it. No. Broadly, no. Political violence is never legitimate? I'll just go broad neutral. Because there's a case-by-case basis. Charismatic leaders are generally more dangerous. Neutral because being a charismatic leader doesn't automatically make you dangerous. But I understand that it can be dangerous. The best politicians are those who can improvise when necessary. I would have to say broadly yes. Those who can adapt to changing situations are probably the most beneficial to be in positions of power. We don't really know who has power in today's world. No, we kind of understand it. Most good things come from private businesses, not from the government. Disagree. Politics is too much drama and not enough fact. Amen to that, brother. When visiting other countries, you should adjust yourself to the local culture. Yeah, at least to an extent. People shouldn't vote unless they fully educate themselves on the issues. Ideally, yes. Talking about politics in the workplace is unprofessional. Disagree, I don't care. I'll talk about politics, I'll talk about unionizing, I'll talk about whatever. Leaders should govern through legislation, not through decree. Yeah. Socially cohesive societies tend to do better. Now, what does this mean, socially cohesive? But it's what does this mean in a specific sense? Neutral or unsure? I keep some of my more controversial political opinions to myself. Nope. I'll say them all. The interests of society matter more than the interests of individuals. Yes. We could not survive without trading with other countries. That is true. Well, the US might, but I don't think we should. It is unrealistic to expect that 100% of campaign promises will be fulfilled. Yes. Diplomacy is a much more effective way of achieving goals than military power. Yes. I have been moved by political speeches. Yes. That Aime Oda's speech, that was based. I listened to the Mario Savio speech. the Venceremos speech or whatever, like the one where Salvador Allende died. Politicians that change their minds have no backbone. Neutral, it depends. We can and should eliminate poverty. Absolutely. Social attitudes are much better today than they were 100 years ago. Yes. 100 years ago, people thought that, like, segregation was good. Newcomers shouldn't push out long-time locals and change the character of the community. The fuck does that mean? Is that an immigration question? Is that an immigration question? If it's an immigration question, I'm just going to put strongly disagree. I'm assuming that this is an immigration question. In international relations, it is better to be feared than loved. Absolutely not. We should always try to challenge the political consensus in our country. Yes. The age of revolutions is thankfully over. I would say broadly, yes. No, at least this, because it's like, it's a little bit difficult to understand. Like, thankfully over, it's like it depends on the type of revolution and how it's done or whatever. But the age of revolution is really over. And politicians shouldn't wear jeans to work. Disagree. They should be forced to wear jeans at work. Well, actually, they shouldn't be forced to wear. They should be wearing what literally they are. Individuals would generally put their own money to better use than government taxation. Disagree. Politicians try too hard to appeal to the so-called center. Yes. We should make it easier for foreigners to invest in our country. A little bit, yeah. If we have nuclear weapons, it's only fair that other countries would want them too. Yes, but I also don't believe we should have them. If a political party keeps losing election, they must be wrong about the issue somehow. Disagree. Just because they lose doesn't mean they're wrong. It means that people can be wrong as well. When it comes to good governance, institutions matter more than leaders. A little bit, yeah. Positive discrimination is justified as is it just means of achieving equality? Yes. I usually think less of people who wear revealing clothes. No, especially if they're females. I think more of them. Security threats to our country are being exaggerated by those in power. Yes. In politics, different types of problems call for different types of solutions. Yes. No. Live and let live? Yes. A successful politician must be able to adapt to changing circumstances? Yes. I would say that I'm a pacifist? Yes. Even if you are not religious, it's important to be considerate towards people's faith? Nope. Our political system should be as meritocratic as possible? Yes. The government should stop and think before responding to a terrorist attack? Yes. Complete test. Alright, let's see. About you. Based on your results, we project that your voting tendencies are strongly left-wing. Your nearest ideological personas are progressive, socialist, social democrats. Your most common attributes are collectivist, contrarian, dove. Alright, let's see. 100% collectivist. 81% egalitarian. 89% permissive. 53% communitarian. 56% suspecting. 58% rational. 72% pragmatic. 67% proceduralist. 61% globalist. 92% dove. 64% radical. And 97% contrarian. Alright, let's see them all. Okay. Radical. Contrarian. Alright. Okay, so let's just read them all. Collectivists are skeptical of private property and fundamentally believe that prosperity must broadly be shared. Yes, based. Egalitarians believe that there are arbitrary inequalities in opportunity and outcome in society that should be addressed. They should support policies aimed at leveling the playing field, promoting equal access to opportunities. You believe that government intervention in the economy should aim to protect... Yeah, good. Permissive are tolerant, open value, personal freedom, and social change. Okay, communitarian, good. Suspecting individuals believe that politics, there's more than meets the eye. They tend to be more skeptical and cynical towards mainstream opinion, media, and institutions. They believe the political establishment does not always have the public's best interest in mind, and think that it is an important question to dominate narratives and uncover hidden truths. Yes, that's about accurate, yeah. I would have suspected it maybe to be like slightly more suspected, but I guess that would be a little bit more into the conspiratorial area. And rationality. That makes sense as well. Pragmatic. Fair. Though the biggest one is just surprising is like, I guess, globalist. Yeah, so that basically this seems accurate, yeah. My political results are 66V 6G8. Wait, where's like, but is there like anything that shows like the ideological personas? No, I guess not. I guess that makes sense though. I would say that the only thing that might be like, I guess it's just because like socially progressive or whatever. But anyways, that's pretty much all I gotta do on this video, so thanks for watching this episode. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell to notify the future video when it comes out. And if you want more content from me, you can go to our website, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Facebook, I don't even use my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, or consider supporting me on Patreon.